Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank the committee for joining us. Mr. Brewer, we appreciate you jumping on here. I understand you had an appointment this afternoon, so thank you for taking the time to jump on with us here a little bit. Yes, first thing, Kathy, if you want to call the roll for everybody, and we'll find out officially who is on the Zoom here.
All righty. Member Reeder.
Present.
Member LeMaster.
Present.
Member Carter.
Here.
Member Brewer. Member Bush. She was not going to be here, she said. So we have 4 present.
Very good. Well, we have a quorum. Everyone's on Zoom, and Mr. Reeder's here with me. So I think he's got an agenda with him. I guess the first thing, if I remember right, on the agenda was approval of the minutes from the last meeting, or acceptance of the minutes of the last meeting. So don't know if anybody has any questions or comments about those.
Move to accept.
Got a motion to accept. Is there a second? Got a second?
Carter.
I think Mr. Brewer, I see somebody waving. I think he's on mute there. I see some motion there. I think Mr. Brewer's on. I think his mic is muted there.
Yeah. I seconded too, but
I don't know if you guys are.
All right, thank you.
I don't know if you had any comments, Mr. Brewer. I saw where you're muted there and kind of waving.
No, I'm just trying to get in on the meeting.
Thank you. Well, I think I guess got a motion and a second to approve the minutes. To all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sounds like motion approved. So thank you very much. With respect to the minutes, it's kind of a special meeting, so I'll stay pretty close to the topic. Those last minutes, we're getting back to in-person meetings here at the plant board. So I was talking with Mr. Reeder about some of the things we can do about better education. We're getting back. We're having safety meetings in person now. We're going to get back to some in-person staff meetings. So that'll give us a little bit better opportunity to kind of talk about some of these issues that come up from time to time, things that might affect the managers here, the mainline managers who approve contracts and things like that, are the folks who are filling out our disclosure forms in the main. But there are other issues, kind of minor things like Mr. Reeder and I were talking about with, let's say you have an agreement with a company that just happens to mow grass for the plant board or clear snow for the plant board, things like that it might want to keep in mind, sort of the inadvertent type of conflicts that kind of Mr. Reeder referred to them. So that's one thing we can kind of talk about as we go along. We've also been publishing our vendor list. Leanne Phillips, our purchasing director, she's been putting together a spreadsheet that she's sending out monthly that the folks who kind of handle procurement, handle contracts, they can kind of look through there and folks have an idea of who the plant board is kind of doing business with. But with things, hopefully, fingers crossed, staying back to more normalcy now that COVID's let up, we can talk a little bit more in person about these things and makes the communication of it a little bit easier. So that's kind of with respect to those issues. I guess the second item we had were the financial disclosure forms. Mr. Reeder and I were chatting a little bit before the meeting started. And like my form, for example, I suspect a lot of them are kind of the same as what we looked at last year. I know my form, my household, my wife kind of accepted a new position, so I just sort of updated her address and her contact information, and that was about the only change that was required. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about the forms or anything they would like to like to review. And if so, I can always go back and find, get answers to those questions, and we could have another meeting whenever it's convenient for folks to answer whatever new questions someone may have. But
This is Jack. Did everyone complete the form?
we've got, I know Kathy had sent out, we have a new board member who just came on in October, and we need to get an updated form from him. He filled out one in October though, when he first came on. So I don't suspect there are too many changes between October and now, but we'll double check that. And I think Kathy, that was about the only one that we were kind of lacking. So we had, substantial, obviously everything except that one form to present today.
Great.
Hans, I reviewed them all yesterday. It's hard to tell things from the amount of information that we're given.
Right.
But it's just hard to see if there's really any conflicts there or not. But I didn't really see anything on anything I reviewed. I had one question, and it's a very simple question, and I'm sure I know the answer, but I just wanted to double check. And it's
Sure.
on the, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. How about
It's
me?
on the yes. It's on the employee named Adam Hellard, and it looks like his spouse is employed by the Frankfurt Plant Board as well. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct. Jennifer.
I just wanted to make sure she wasn't in his line of supervision.
Yes, ma'am.
She's not under him anywhere.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct. She's in.
Okay, that's all.
Thank you. Good.
And I assume that much, but I just wanted to double check.
Yes, ma'am. Sharp eye.
Not really, but it's just hard to get when you don't know some of the companies named. You just don't know what they do. If they're self-employed,
Right.
You don't know. It's hard to be able to tell much, for potential conflicts. I mean, if there was something huge, it would stand out, but I didn't see anything. So that's my 2 cents.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Thank you.
My question is, does it matter where I notice on one of them, I guess the general manager, like 11 to 15, he didn't put anything. He just left them blank. And there were a couple that weren't signed.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I didn't sign mine because I couldn't. But Kathy told me that was okay.
Yeah, for the ones that aren't
I know-
signed, I should have emails for that basically said here it is.
Yeah,
So,
That's-
I was
But
just
the ones
asking
that-
for my clarification.
Yeah, where they left blank spaces, when I worked for the state, of course, we did hundreds of these. And so many people left them blank, even though we put in big spaces, don't leave blank. And even me, I filled the first line, none, but I didn't go all the way down for addresses and stuff. But I guess we just have to assume by them signing it that they've disclosed anything that would have been in that line, even if
Right.
they didn't write none.
Those
You-
11. I think the signature block would be a good tell, when you sign that, you're representing that, you
Mhm.
close the material. So, but it's always, like I say, it's always good to fill in all the blanks. So that's a point to bring up in the future.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. We used to mail them all back, and then they'd mail them back to us, but it's almost fruitless because they don't put anything new. They just put none, 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 none. So it's,
All the way through.
yeah. I mean, you hardly ever get anything in those blanks. They just write NA or none.
Yeah.
Okay, well, very good. That's some good points to go over with folks in the future. But that's if that's all that they're all the questions and so forth, we could do a motion to accept the forms and And then I will report back to the full board at the regular meeting in April that we've reviewed them and accepted them and set to go for another year.
This is Jack. I so move. We accept the financial disclosure reports for 2022.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a motion on the floor. A second.
Can second.
Ms. Lemaster, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing nothing opposed, motion passes. So thank you all very much. I'm not sure. I know Kathy, I don't have an agenda in front of me. I've got too many papers floating around here. What was our?
That's it. The next one was adjournment. So unless
What
anybody,
about, can I ask, what about this issue with the easement, the lady on our property? Did we address that, or were we supposed to review that, or I kind of didn't get back with you?
That's okay. That came up. That was approved at the last board meeting, and we just wanted to make sure that the committee was aware of that issue. That dealt with with an employee who she had an easement on her property, and then her neighbor came in and developed the lot. So they wanted to basically shift the easement to have 10 feet on either side, and we would do that for any other customer, and it was all the same that we would do for anybody else. So
I didn't have an issue. I didn't have an issue with it. John Cubine just called me the other night, and he was talking about it and asking me, and I knew it hadn't come before. I knew we'd gotten the email, but we hadn't really discussed it. So I just wanted to make sure that that was okay.
yes, we wanted to send an email and advise the committee, and if anybody had a question, we could have, we would have met and so forth before the meeting and come on. So
yeah,
but we've done that in we don't do those very often. The last one I can remember was the new auto parts store up there in front of Ty Smile was the last time we did a release of an easement. So it doesn't come up that often, but
all right.
But will be the same for any other similarly situated customer in that case. So, but that's about all the big news here, unless anybody has. I know it's a special meeting, so we have to stay pretty close to the agenda. Right. Like, it'd be nice to be able to get together. Maybe the next time we can get together in person and we're gonna actually chat a little bit afterwards and hear everybody's thoughts.
Right.
That policy has on as far as shifting easements and so forth. Is that a written policy, or is that just a discretionary thing that y'all normally do?
I don't think we have a written policy with respect to usually when we get easements or release easements, it kind of starts in the operations department with what do they require operationally to function. And then once operations looks at it, usually when we receive easements, we don't go to the board. When, say, if you were granting an easement to the plant board, we have kind of a form that we use that kind of encompasses what operations needs. Right. And the grantor conveys to the plant board an easement. So we really don't have board action in that instance. But when the board is relinquishing a right, that's when we would go to the board. I got you. So, but no, easements are always fun for Kathy and I. Kathy is the easement guru with title searching and so on and so forth. So hopefully we'll be doing some more when we expand the broadband into northern Franklin County. So that keeps us in business.
I think there was a motion to adjourn.
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure to see everyone.
you have a second?
I think Jill did.
Got a second from Miss Lemaster.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing no opposed.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good week.
Thank you all very much.
Kathy.
We appreciate it.